This reading is for Claudia. I wanted to make a separate video talking about Chiron in the eighth house for you, just since the other video was more about vocational purposes. I figure, well, let's make a separate one about Chiron since that's kind of a area completely on its own. So when we look at Chiron, we're looking at the wounded healer, right? Where is everyone has it, and it's the area of our chart where we're looking at feeling the discomfort, the wound, and then learning to heal ourselves from this wound so that in return we can heal others who are going through similar experiences and really achieve our full potential in doing that, get out of the self and help others with similar situations is really especially true when we're talking about the eighth house Chiron, because Chiron in the eighth house gives it a spiritual implication. And even though it's in the Virgo sign, which is Earth, which is usually more based in our real world, so to speak, being in the eighth house of spiritual matters, life and death cycles, and deep relationships. It takes on the spiritual connotation. And some of these Chiron eighth house experiences for people can really be about the other partner that they're with or could potentially be with. Sometimes it's speaking to the deep intimacy that we feel with another partner. Sometimes it's speaking to our sexuality with our partner, talking about really sensitive areas of self where we don't let a lot of other people see. We think sexual relationships because not only are you physically vulnerable, right? You're physically exposed. Not a lot of people are going to see you like that on a physical level, but also on an emotional one, even spiritual. When you're deeply connected to someone in a most intimate way, and you are merging two bodies and two spirits into one energy. That's kind of the level of depth that this Chiron could potentially be pointing out. It could say that there's some painful experiences in that department, or it could be saying feelings of inadequacy in sexuality in general, that maybe it's not even exactly to do with another person consciously, a union. It could be in feelings of not feeling adequate enough in relationships that you can really share your inner desires and real self in those situations. And with the sign being in Virgo, it makes more sense to me that that's what we're experiencing here. It's not really that there's been specific issues with any partners, but maybe a feeling of inadequacy with Virgo Chiron in the eighth house. It gives a similar expression to having a Virgo Venus placement, because the eighth house can be these intimate relationships, and Virgo prefers to be more of a mental, mercurial energy where we think through logic and reason, really good at breaking things down, very discriminating in what's going on, and ultimately getting every detail to have a lot of merit in decision making. Where the eighth house really is asking for more of a spiritual or emotional experience or expression. The Virgo energy doesn't love to experience things that way. It prefers to be more methodical. Also, with your Aquarius rising, which also has that same energy. Aquarius is ruled by Uranus and Saturn, and Uranus is really the elevated Mercury. So you already naturally have more of a tendency to think analytically. Things that appeal to your sense of reason are going to win you over sometimes more than emotions. Not always with your Pisces moon. I feel like that 0 degree moon is very strong. It's a new experience for you. You're coming into this world this time, really wanting to connect on an emotional level with people. You have that bleeding heart for causes. And it's this vulnerability that maybe you haven't experienced before in past lives. You really wanted to feel everything this time, but you can't deny your go-to mental demeanor of an Aquarius rising who, between Saturn and Uranus, is very interested in facts, reason, law, and making decisions based on those things and not on emotions or love or things that you can't quantify. So the Virgo in the eighth house has the same dilemma. We can't always access these, unquestioning loyalty or acceptance of another or ourselves because we can see so clearly all the flaws, all the cracks in the sculpture. And that's what Virgo does. It notices everything that is not perfection because Virgo likes to then take it apart and then rebuild it in a way that is perfect or attempts to be. Virgo has the vision of perfection. When that turns back on yourself, we never actually achieve perfectionism. So sometimes that is why Virgo in Venus and Virgo is a fall, um, is because it really doesn't work well with love. We don't always benefit from that type of ability or characteristic when it comes to matters of the heart. It's harder for the Virgo eighth house person to smooth over all the cracks that it notices and accept things as less than perfect. It's the area where the practicality and the ability to see so clearly then is detrimental to the self. It can be too critical. It can tear things apart so much so that the Virgo person won't even put themselves in situations of intimacy because they don't feel that they'll ever really measure up to what it is that they would want. So it can become a self-esteem issue of just accepting less than what you would really want just to be accepted at all. Or it could be isolation romantically because you don't want to take less than what you want, especially with your Capricorn stellium. This might be you more, that you would rather than just be alone. If you cannot be the perfect person that you would want to be in a partnership, then you will just not even attempt it at all. But it could also be when in the relationships or matters of intimacy that you can't help but see the things that are not adding up correctly or perfectly polished in the partner either. And it's not in areas of vanity, it could be character. But once you see things for what they really are in this eye of realism that you have, you can't really ever shake it and you can't really overlook it because it is there. So you can't unsee it. So it would just suggest that you you know you try to overcome that by trying to do the Virgoian energy of service, where in yourself, instead of trying to achieve perfection, you would try to achieve progress and then be accepting of your best efforts. And then in other people, in trying to not ignore what's not correct, but try to find the parts that are as close to perfect as you could try to achieve. And then also of the servitude of trying to help people whom you want to be close to really achieve their fullest potentials. That's really the Virgo gift is helping other people reach their full potential. Finding somebody who doesn't really um, publicly or to themselves really appreciate or value themselves for all that they could be. Maybe they've settled themselves or they've sold themselves short or they didn't try things or they just can't see how they really could be doing something a lot better than they are. And you do see it, and then you help them become it. That is your gift. In seeing their flaws, you actually see their highest potential too. So then you can have these little almost like makeover scenarios where you really help someone be their best selves. It's a lot easier for this energy to do that for someone else than it is to do for themselves because you can be so critical on yourself that it's hard to sometimes see the highest potential. Sometimes that perfectionistic attitude makes it really difficult to even get started because you don't think you'll ever achieve what it is that um, your ideal state would be. You have a couple things going on with this that are to help you in overcoming. So the first one, I think, since you had asked some questions about making money in our last session, I think it's interesting that your Chiron opposes your part of fortune. So I would think, it's a pretty tight orb here. The the ability to create an income for yourself is strong with the part of fortune in the second house. I think that you have a lot of natural talents and gifts that you could really use to bring yourself real world success. So part of fortune is really indicative of material success, things of the world. It's the symbol is of the earth, so the fortune on earth. So it's usually translated to be material wealth. In the sign of Pisces, it would have to make that sign integrate here. So I think if there was any sign that was less about material, it would be Pisces. But I take that as to be something through your Piscean talents to actually bring you material wealth. Opposing Chiron here, these energies aren't working together, right? When they're opposing, they're not very comfortable. There's tension here, there's opportunity to grow and to overcome challenges to then reach the highest potential of these points. So I think what it's saying is that the more that you can heal the the either real wound that came from maybe intimate relationships that were very less than ideal for you and that in real ways made you feel insecure or imagined or perceived of your ability to be recognized as an intimate partner that you want to be. Either case, it's still a wound. And the more that we heal that you work on self acceptance and self love or service to other intimate partnerships, becoming more grounded in yourself and capable of working towards progress without having to see the goal of perfection. I think the more that you are tolerant of yourself and appreciative of yourself, the more that you're going to lean into these talents that you have and your ability to really market that. It's really this self-esteem type of access here between the second and the eighth house. The eighth house is how our partners really value us and we value them, how they see us and how we see them. And the second house is how we see ourselves and what we value about ourselves. So for this to be on the axis is no accident here. You're being asked and challenged to love yourself the way a partner would love you, the way they see you. If you could see yourself through their eyes and really appreciate who you are because they they are telling you how great you are, so you could work on believing it too, or it's that you become more compassionate and um, accepting of partners and value them even through their flaws. So, this valuing and accepting and really esteemed state of yourself and your partner is the goal here. Being worthy of a deep connection, letting someone really experience you for all you are without holding back, and then really wanting that in somebody else too. That's how we work through that access to stand on our own feet successfully, and then also be open to really transforming our status or our spirituality through another person, rebuilding trust with other intimately, or just finding that you deserve that in the first place, that you are worthy of these connections with somebody else. And there you have a lot to heal in this area, whether it really happened or it hasn't happened yet, or perceived that it could happen, but overcoming this in a way that is really a spiritual experience for you, and letting go of any neurotic or self-defeating behaviors or thoughts about that. The Pisces energy is the opposite of the Virgo energy in that it really likes to just compassionately accept everyone and really provide this like unconditional love and acceptance, where Virgo is able to love a lot, but it's very aware of all the details so that it makes things more discriminating just through the process of being that analytical. So I think the Pisces energy that you have in the second house is your ability to really open up and love yourself through and through without questions asked. Or did you, check all the boxes with yourself, combating that Virgo Chiron that's saying, hey, but this eyebrow's not perfectly shaped. Are you really going out like that? Things like that, the details that bring you down or make you think that you're not worthy. This Pisces energy is saying the more that you can let anything go that's not really giving you this self esteem boost, the more that you're actually going to have a lot more opportunities and this expression, this talent that you have to really come across and give it time. You have to have that base foundation of feeling like you're worthy before you can really have a creative process. It's just the hierarchy of your needs. You have to feel secure in yourself and really accept yourself before you can really blossom it creatively. So it's saying the more you work on that and you heal that, the more that you're actually going to show more of yourself to yourself. And that might actually be what winds up bringing you fortune in your life. So I'm going to kind of pivot here a little bit. Another, what could be sometimes a challenge perceived, but it's really an opportunity here. Challenges in charts are always good. I like when there are squares or oppositions to Chiron because it's forcing us to work on this. Too many trines to Chiron, and you just kind of brush it under the table. Not going to deal with it right now. But you have a nice square here from Chiron to your vertex. So that red line right there, your vertex is in Gemini, which is also a very mercurial energy here. So it's just your really intellectual energy that's going on here with you. And vertex is seen as the opportunities, like an open door that you could walk through. Maybe you don't know this about yourself, but if you're willing to give it the time and explore this area, You might find a lot of talent here, or especially in the fifth house, some type of expression talent. And I just think it's interesting that the square from Chiron goes to your vertex and then also goes to the part of fortune. And then that opposition goes back to Chiron. So this is what we call a T square um, aspect pattern. So when that happens, it's really saying that this energy here, the tug of war between am I worthy to really be vulnerable with a partner to I am worthy and I could really be successful on my own. This energy back and forth here with, you know, this esteem, this self-esteem access here. It's really the apex of the T square is the vertex. So to me, and not everybody agrees on this, but in my experience, I feel like that's usually the solution. We go to the mediator of the group here, which is the vertex, and it is not so much a mediator as it is tension. The square says, I need to activate. This is going to irritate you until you do something about it. That is my ability to help you find a solution between these energies. So, with the sign of Gemini, which is all about communication, and the vertex being the open door here of your personal talents, squaring this Chiron energy of feeling emotionally or physically wounded by deep, intimate relationship through that Virgo energy of the, the cuts of imperfections. And maybe this comes as criticalness or nagging from yourself or someone else, or being not, not really being able to feel the romanticism that you wanted to feel in these relationships. The square here, I feel like, is saying that you're going to have a lot of opportunities to communicate with people and really show them who you are. You're going to have the opportunity to express yourself, to show your creative side or just your self expression instead of holding things in. I think your Capricorn 12th house stellium and even that 10th house stellium, there's this private side of the 12th house and there's this public side of the 10th house. But then there's this opportunity in the fifth house to really let yourself go, like be free, let loose kind of things. And it's not about professional consequences or opportunity. And it's not about your own private spiritual side where maybe you tend to isolate. It's about, no, it's about really expressing and being freely who you are, like nobody's watching and with no strings attached in situations where it's about not about being seen for the sake of work or career, but maybe for the sake of having relationships with people, just for the joy of connecting with someone. The fifth house is our creative expression, but it's also love affairs. So if our spouse or what we usually consider a spouse is seventh house, the fifth house is like the love, the courtship house. So we don't marry everyone that falls into this house, but we have romantic affairs. We really develop this side of ourselves that makes us feel good. It's how we are flirtatious or just casually dating, really having the fun side of life. And it's squaring the Chiron here. It's asking you to really have these emotional triggers or some of these challenging um, encounters sometimes to really work on this continual growth and transformation that you wanted to encounter for real like self-awareness and emotional development. So whether it's positive or negative here, that's not the point. It doesn't always mean like it's discomfort, but it just means that it's going to be significant enough that it makes you question this old wound again. Am I being emotionally triggered? Is this uncovering that potential vulnerable, intimate side of me, or am I already putting up walls because I don't really think that I can go there, or I don't want anything unexpected to come out of this? So I'm going to just keep it intellectual and not spiritual. The these type of situations are significant and they're unavoidable. This is your catalyst for growth here. You're asking to be in relationships, and sometimes it can just be any type of encounters, but where there can just be opportunities for you to become emotionally involved. So you can become emotionally upset. People at work are mean, or this isn't the work houses, but these are relationship. This is when you are expressing yourself and there are instances where somebody is going to either overly critique you or hurt you with their words, or um, nag you about not doing it a certain way. Is that going to hinder your ability to shine in your life? Or are you going to learn self resilience and let these things bounce off of you and really not penetrate who you are as a person, and really not ever touch on your own value of self worth? That's the apex situation here. Is it saying, I am who I am no matter what, and I'm free to express that and enjoy myself and really appreciate my personality and all of my um, creative energy, just for the sake of really wanting to embrace my individuality. I celebrate that. I'm excited about that. I love myself for that. And I want people to challenge me on that. I want to hear what they have to say that they think I'm not doing right. Because over time, I want to make sure that I don't care, that it doesn't matter to me, and that no matter what, I know I'm still worthy of everything I ever want. And I know that I make a really great partner, lover, sexual partner. I know that I can be worthy in the way I am in all areas, and my self esteem is strong. I value myself for who I am. I value myself for who I am in a partnership. I appreciate my partners for valuing themselves, who they are, and trying to achieve their highest potential. And I'm going to make sure that I take every opportunity to engage people in these conversations when they're when they're trying to challenge me. I'm going to make sure that they hear that I am confident in who I am, and that I'm not going to back down or change or hide away because somebody doesn't appreciate me fully, because I appreciate myself fully enough that that doesn't matter to me. Getting pushed around or getting brought down, these are all challenges for you to really get that profound self-awareness that you really want, and this like deep emotional security in yourself. And sometimes that comes best through situations that are not pleasant, because it really gets your attention more. But then you become this really strong person who feels very confident. And that is the fifth house, is really about confidence too. And it's the vertex, which means that it's not something that you're already like super in your personality to be like flashy or really like cocky or super confident and like flamboyant or egotistical. You're not really like that. That's not your nature. But it's just saying, hey, if you want to go there, if you want to try that on around people, to just really like this flare of arrogance might actually be a great way for you to kind of throw it back to people and say, hey, I'm not going to do anything differently, and I'm going to really respect myself for that. And it's something that you might try on that you actually really like, and you become a lot more confident because of it in all areas, to yourself and in your most intimate partnerships. So while we're here, I was gonna pull your um transits just to see. You had said something about making money. I think I talked about that in the last video, but I don't think I showed you your chart with the transit. So I was just going to pull that up real quick and show you what's going on here. So we have which ones do we want to make the outer ring? Let's see. Right. Here it is. Okay. So we have the Venus in the 12th house. So this is just like ease, serenity. You might be feeling like if the private side of you is comfortable right now, you're feeling a little bit more into your relationship with yourself, or just kind of not being so caught up in public or other people's business right now. Um, but we have Jupiter that moves slower in the fifth house by vertex. So I think now is a good time with luck on your side to really try to work on like what makes you feel more confident and what makes you feel like you're in the spotlight in your own life. What can you work on that you can really be confident in this department that would really be helpful in this process of healing the Chiron wound, so that you become somebody that you really are, and that this gives you this boost of ability to heal any self-doubt that you have when it comes to being able to really connect intimately with somebody, and then also to give your self-esteem, your own personal values a boost here. I think this is a good time to work on that. And where is Saturn for you? Oh yeah, that's right. You're moving past that Saturn return, so you're already going to start feeling like things lighten up here soon anyway. And you're not going to feel like you need answers to all these big life questions so intensely like you might have been feeling. That sobering feeling is moving on now. It's already pretty wide here. It's going to be just moving away now, and you're going to get a chance to like energy levels increase, and life will get a little bit lighter in the next coming months. Okay. Well, that's good for now. Let me know what else, if there's something. I know there's a few questions, so let me know if there's something else that you wanted to touch on, and I can do another video. I'm happy to do that. Okay, thanks so much.